Hello my beautiful little Moglets. So we have recently gotten our 40th 6-star hero. As you can see from this 40 out of 300 up here, we have only 6 stars selected. So this is something I like to do every now and then, once every couple of months or so. Just reflect on the new 6 stars I've raised, sort of talking about how I'm using them now, if I'm using them at all. So we're just gonna sort by combat power actually. And obviously since we have 40 heroes here, I'm going to try and make them brief. So Lulika here, there's not too much else to say. She's a very nice damage dealer. I like her a lot. She's just well-rounded with that also support buff. It's a little bit random in her kit, but it's nice. And she is a really good defense breaker. Her S1 does a lot of nice damage as well. I'll also give a 1 to 10 rating to these characters, but please keep in mind this is literally only based on my experience with them and not necessarily like all my cumulative knowledge about like, you know, if they're good there or there, but just like how my connection is with them, where I've personally been using them, and if they've been performing well for me personally with whatever stuff they have on. So this is not meant to be taken seriously at all. It's just a fun little factor. I know people start getting crazy when you start throwing numbers on characters, but literally, please don't take it seriously. For Lulika, I'm gonna give her a 9.4. Champion Zerato is easily like my top 3 like fun heroes. I just really like using him because of his counter attacks, and then it hits 2 enemies and you can transfer those debuffs. He's just a really fun character. Very good in a lot of content too. Granted, you can beat Abyss. He's very easy to gear. I have him with the lifesteal set. I recommend this a lot because this lifesteal set comes with all good subs for him. He likes health, he likes crit chance, he likes crit damage, you know, all the stuff you would need. So this is not from Abyss, but I think the Abyss one has attack on it. I like my damage dealers with some crit damage, but yeah, all around really fun character. For Zerato's rating, I'm thinking like a 9.6 honestly. I just like using him so much. SSB, not gonna make a joke about her this time. She's still very good, actually, even with Roana. Maybe just not on defense, because then people can just bring their own Roana. But as long as the team you're fighting doesn't have a Roana, she can still be good on offense too. SSB, we're gonna go with like an 8.9, I suppose. Vivian, I actually don't use as much as I used to. She's another one of those really fun characters. She's super amazing. 3rd skill, 3 turns of immunity, 3 turns of attack buff. Actually don't know why I don't use her super often anymore. She's still fully geared and everything. I mean, I do use her, I think, sometimes for Labyrinth, depending on which boss I'm going for. I've found in a lot of cases, immunity doesn't help you as much as being able to cleanse the debuffs. Because like a lot of those enemies just strip the immunity, and her Soul Burnt Tornado can be super strong, as well as her basic for single target damage. All around very nice though, but I'm gonna have to go like a 8.8 for Vivian. Spectre Tenebria, also a really fun character in my opinion. Recently got a pretty big buff where if this is on cooldown, you know, she hits 2 enemies with this. And since you can soul burn that for an extra turn, it's quite spammable. I've used this very nicely against Queen Azumashik in Hell Labyrinth. Spectre Tenebria, easy 9.4. Bellona, the OG god of AoE and defense breaks. What else can I say about her? I still use her from time to time, not super often. For normal Bellona, she is another one of those fun ones I just liked to use and still kind of use sometimes. I'm gonna say like 9.2. Luna I'm a little bit frustrated with at the moment, honestly. She has been a really nice character overall. It's just that RNG, when you really need it to not be RNG, it can screw you over. Her basic attack varies so much if it's 1 or 3 hits. And where like she was most useful, Wyvern, you know, Aglorxa's natural 3 stars are taking her role, even when that player would also have a max Luna. It's kind of sad. For Luna's rating, man, I don't know. She's getting replaced by natural 3 stars for like the content she was meant for. So I'm gonna have to give you like a 7.8. Little Queen Charlotte I really like too. Her ultimate, pretty much any dark dude's gonna be dead by this. 50% defense penetration, extra damage against dark. She's a bit like C. Armin with her passive, which I actually always forget about. Like, you don't even really need to think about it. It's just damage reduction on criticals, which is always useful. And then pretty much constant immunity as long as you're soul burning your S3. And yeah, because of her, my PvP teams are getting a little bit more diverse. Instead of Oxalots boosting into Judge Kisa, Oxalots sometimes boost into Little Queen Charlotte if there's like only one really dangerous unit there. As for ML Charlotte's rating, let's go like 9.2. Maybe it's a bit low, but I haven't had that much time with her yet, so could raise later. And then of course we have Judge Kisa. My favorite character in the whole game. All of the slates we got from PvP went into her. She is triple S memory imprint. She is by far my only natural 5-star anywhere close to triple S. I don't think I even have any 5 stars at A, honestly, let alone triple S. But yeah, lots of AoE damage. Soul burning S2 gives her an extra turn to do S3. And even if that combination doesn't kill everyone, this can really cripple them by increasing their skill cooldowns. For Judge Kisa's rating, I gotta go 10. 10 out of 10. Probably gonna be the only 10 out of 10 on this list. What can I say about Sez? I was actually using him somewhat recently. As you can see, he is geared. It was just for the Guilty Gear collab, because I needed a thief. He's an okay farmer, a little bit slower because he has to do the attack twice, but decent farmer. And yeah, he could wear a torn sleeve, give us some extra currency. So for Sez's rating, like, I really want to be nice to him. He was my first 6-star. He got me through a lot of tough times. I'm gonna have to give you like a 7.5, dude. All right, well, this is probably gonna be like more of a 5 to 10 rating, because I don't want to give anyone lower than 5. Lilius is another one I use a lot. She is a huge staple in so many of my teams, and I'd say that's mainly because of her first skill, honestly. You know, just guarantees a dual attack. That's just really cool. And it adds a little layer of fun RNG. I don't like a lot of RNG, but that's the sort of RNG where it's kind of fun. You know, you have a 1 in 3 chance of getting like who you really want to dual attack. And of course her ult can actually do some solid damage if you have her built that way. So yeah, she's just really nice. Lilius, I'm gonna have to give like a solid 9.8. Yeah, we're getting pretty close to 10 there. 9.8 for Lilius. I like her a lot. And then we have Lidica, which I think is super interesting. Mainly her third skill, you know, 100% combat readiness decrease. That can come in handy in a lot of PvE situations, like Labyrinth. And yeah, I still use her somewhat regularly, at least for 1 or 2 of the Hell Raid bosses. I don't know, I kind of feel like the amount of combat readiness decrease she can bring to the table makes her a step up from just a combat readiness manipulator, because she can also provide lots of debuffs. So I'm gonna have to give her like at least a 9.1. Shermia, still missing that damn boot. Where have you placed it? I mean, it actually does kind of look like she's missing a boot, or at least like the armor plating there. Anyway, Shermia has been my #1 waifu forever. 10. I even hand traced her ultimate animation to use as an outro. Geez, you would not imagine how long that took. But most of the frames Shermia was there, so I got to look at her for a long time, and that's cool too. Damn, do I sound creepy. But yeah, she has really strong single target damage, and due to her exclusive equipment, she is MVP for a lot of Hall of Trials bosses. I guess except Zeno, because, you know, she can proc that twice. It's a really strong skill as well. In fact, if I took Hall of Trials seriously, I'd probably want to raise that to get the extra damage there. I should probably do that anyway, honestly, but I really like her. Design, skill set, everything. And yeah, I'm keeping the 10 rating, okay? So, move over, Judge Kisa. You're not special. And then, of course, we got the soon-to-be replaced Star of the Week, since I think we'll have Elfelt details very soon now. But yeah, Dizzy's super unique as well. Most heroes are. That's something I really have to give Epic 7 credit for. So many debuffs, combat readiness pushing, extra turn on third. You know, she's a really nice, solid character all around. But yeah, her skill set's honestly bonkers. You can pretty much take her anywhere, and she's going to be helpful. Gonna have to give Dizzy like a 9.6. Ravia I used for a long time. When I ever do go in normal Labyrinth, which isn't very often anymore, I use her for my front line. But other than that, she doesn't see much use. She is a nice bruiser, capable of massive damage with her soul burned basic. Gonna give Ravi an 8.2. I know that's definitely low, but you know, an 8.2 rating is still pretty good. Maybe not on my scale. I'm being generous to everyone. Seedom is another really fun character. I experimented with her a lot with Judge Kisa, and she actually pairs really nicely because Judge Kisa gets like 8 criticals off, and then she is definitely going next with all those, you know, stacked with her S2 electric charge. You know, then she can do this, get an extra turn, boom, bada bing, soul burn her basic, and pretty much one-shot anyone she wants to. She's a really fun character too, and I really like her design. We're gonna give her like a 9.3. And then we have Kin. You know, he's a counter attacker. I actually find Kin to be a little on the boring side. I'm sorry. He is very strong, he's very good, but I don't know what it is. I'm not excited to use Kin for whatever reason. He's definitely strong though, and you can't deny that, but I'm still just gonna give him a 9.1. Fallen Cecilia is another one I use in like almost every PvP match, just because, you know, she starts the team off with that barrier and then a bigger barrier with this thing. And yeah, so most of the time I can survive a couple of counter attacks as long as they're not too strong. Her S3 is pretty nice too, AoE skill nullifier. I always accidentally do this on like an SSB team and then it's like immediately removed. I'm gonna give Fallen Cecilia like a 9.4, I guess. And then we got Crozet, literally only raised this dude for Wyvern 11 back in the day, and he served me well. I'm using him again for Wyvern 13 because he is also serving me well there. But since that's still literally his only role for me personally, I'm sure he can be useful elsewhere, but like for me personally, that's the only place he's used. So I think I'm gonna have to give him like a 7.5. I'm very sorry to all the Crozet lovers out there, but that, again, it's just my experience. And then we have Tamarin, by far my most used healer, because again, I like using her. I think she is fun. All those various buffs, the dual attack from the highest ally, you know, the combat readiness increase, the attack buff, she's really nice to use. I'm gonna give Tamarin our very first 9.9. Destina, for that costume alone, I'm probably gonna have to give you an 11. But yeah, I honestly don't use Destina too often, which is a shame because that costume is really amazing. But she was, I believe, my second natural 5-star and probably my second 6-star as well. So you definitely get some points for loyalty. I mean, you can't really run away even if you wanted to. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing inherently wrong with Destina except maybe that this is on too long of a cooldown. I'm gonna give you a flat 9 Destina. I definitely can't give you anything lower because of that amazing costume. And then we have Rowana. I would say besides Tamarin, she is the next funnest Soul Weaver because she works in an interesting way. 95% because of her passive. You know, when people are counterattacking you, she heals the team. So when you have a raised Rowana, it makes you think about, you know, different situations that she could be really useful in, namely against SSB teams. It gives you something extra to think about in general, and I think that's nice. I'm gonna give Rowana a solid 9.4. Charles is missing a helmet, which is good because we don't want to cover up that beautiful mustache. I was honestly never too excited to raise Charles. I know I put him at, I guess, technically rank 1 in my top 10 video, but I basically just got him to 60, fully awakened him, threw some gear on him, and put him in my arena defense team. I don't know if he's still in there without a helmet. I'm gonna give Charles like an 8.5. Again, these ratings aren't solely based off like their abilities or performance. It's more about like my experience using them, because I didn't really have much fun with Charles, and that's maybe my fault, but I didn't. I just basically threw him in my defense team. And then we got Bazaar. He's kind of the same story. I basically just raised him because he was meta and then like never really took him serious. Like I tried making him as fast as possible. I have a little bit better speed pieces than I did before, but still, I don't know if it'd be competitive. And yeah, when you can make sure your Bazaar is faster than the enemy teams, granted there's not like a super fast Lilius there as well, then you know, he is like the go-to combat readiness dude because it's guaranteed. He's a very nice character for sure. It's just I didn't really utilize him that much. So because of that, I'm gonna give him a 8.9. I know he deserves higher based on performance, but my experience is an 8.9. And then we have Angelic Montmorency, easily the best 3-star in the game. How am I doing on her skill tree? I don't think I'm doing very well at all, as a matter of fact. Nope. I did farm some runes, but apparently I got lazy and didn't farm that many. I've only used Angelic Montmorency like one time on one of the Abyss floors, and yeah, she kind of helped. Oh yeah, she has a lot of really important things in her skill tree. I didn't even look at it before. I'm not sure if I should even say anything about her right now, because again, I haven't had much experience, though she is 6-star. But I mean, that one time I did use her, she actually did really well even without her skill tree. So I can imagine, yeah, she is as good as everyone says she is, especially once you have that skill tree. I guess I'm not really gonna give her a rating though, wouldn't be fair. Assyria, on the other hand, I have used a handful of times. I would say mostly with Tamarin because they work well together, her setting that long ass cooldown. Overall though, most of the time I'm not taking Assyria with Tamarin. It's just not really needed once you get through that initial, you know, 8 turn cooldown, then it becomes like a 2 or 3 turn cooldown before she can go back into idle form, so the cycle is pretty quick. But she does have the cannot buff and decreased defense debuff on her ult. Def down, pretty much universally useful. Cannot buff is a little bit more niche, but when it is useful, it's really useful. So she's a good character, definitely. I just don't personally use her that often, but I'm gonna give her like an 8.8. Watcher Shuri was one of my main dudes in my PvP team for so long because of his speed imprint. And you know, he definitely always has a place there when I would desperately need to make sure I go first, which in most of the cases I should when I'm doing cleave. I'm finding myself just relying more on tanks in case we're not first, just hope we survive, I guess. But the amount that I've used him and the fact I just kind of like him overall, he looks cool too. White and gold with the little black accents, just really nice design as well. I'm gonna give him a 9.2. I know he's not really a meta unit or anything, but I really liked using him, and I'll probably use him again in the future. Angelica, the OG, this is the one everyone was like hyping over as the hero. Like you needed to have Angelica in like your 30, you know, reroll attempts at the beginning of the game. Not too sure if it's still like that, probably not, but yeah, I mean, she is still a solid healer. It's just there are other healers that can kind of take her place now. But before Tamarin, she was by far the healer I used the most. So my rating for her is gonna have to be like a 9.6, honestly. I think a lot of that is nostalgia, even though I was actually using her as my main healer like less than a few weeks ago. So I actually Rose based on a friend's recommendation as uses Rose, I believe, in PvP quite a lot. And yeah, I used her for a while in a team. I think it was Rose and Bazaar specifically, because when you have Bazaar, then you kind of need some extra combat readiness, and she helps with that. But yeah, I'm not really using her at the moment. As you can see, she's missing some gear. I guess I'm just pretty stubborn. But while I was using her, she definitely was quite good, so I'm gonna give her like a 9.2. It's already been 50 minutes since I started talking about my characters. I should probably try and go through these last ones quickly. I mean, these are obviously mostly ones that I don't use anymore, but yeah, Baiken, very, very nice single target damage dealer, as well as combat readiness ramper. She's one of the special ones that doesn't even need to soul burn for that extra turn. She just gets it as long as she crits, which is always nice. I used her for a long time as my primary single target damage dealer, probably for like 2 solid months after she was released, I guess last year. But yeah, I'm gonna give Baiken a flat 9. I think that suits. Mascot Hazel was kind of like my mini Tamarin. Of course, not nearly as good as Tamarin, but with that Rod of Amaryllis, she actually healed decently well. And you know, attack buff, gonna give her an 8.4, because she's another one of those fun ones. You know, she's not really that good compared to Tamarin, but she was a fun one to use. 10 friendship level, irreplaceable. Shadow Rose has and will always hold a special place in my heart. She was one of my first natural 4-star Moonlight heroes, raised her pretty much immediately. And she was really good for a lot of things, you know. She has combat readiness decrease for enemies, increase for yourself, 100% defense down here, and then another chance on her basic. Really nice, solid all-around hero, but like competitively, she was simply too slow. I'm sure she's still pretty solid for some PvE situations. I'm gonna give her a solid, I think I'm feeling another flat 9, honestly. My voice is starting to get a little hoarse here, so I'm gonna try and speed this along. Mercedes, very good AoE, quite fun, 8.8. Cowrick, I pretty much maxed this dude's skills with Molagoras and never used him again. I actually forgot his entire skill set. It could be a problem because he's one of the more recent heroes, and you know, after a certain point, once you have 46-star heroes, there aren't that many heroes that can really change your strategy too much, if you know what I mean. So it's probably not Cowrick's fault, but my personal experience is gonna have to give him a 5. Yikes, that's really harsh. That's basically a 0. Lilibet is kind of the same story. She did get her exclusive equipment, which makes her a lot better for her niche. I never tried it though. When I did try her, you know, she performed her niche okay, you know, killing Vildrids mainly. I guess I used her a little bit longer than Cowrick, so I'm gonna give her like a 5.5. Commander Lorena, I think about re-gearing every now and then, because she actually was and probably still is a solid damage dealer, you know, 50% attack. And I did use her so long as my, you know, main and only damage dealer in the beginning. So I'm gonna give her like a solid 9.6. I know it's kind of high for Commander Lorena, but I had a really good time using her. Melissa, I'm probably gonna get hate for this, but I'm gonna have to give her a 5 as well. I think she did get buffs, but I don't know, they were just kind of mad to me. The curse still doesn't work on bosses. I actually picked up Dian when she came back somewhat recently, and then I 6-starred her. I don't really know why I 6-starred her, but I did. I tried to use her for Wyvern 13. I think I used her maybe for a couple floors of Abyss as well. But besides that, not really. I'm still just mainly using Tamarin everywhere. Tamarin and Lilius. But perhaps if I had Dian before Tamarin and I was already using her, maybe I would still prefer to use Dian. I don't know how the cookie crumbles in that way, but for my personal experience, I'm gonna give her like a 7.7. Definitely doesn't deserve that low, just I haven't played with her that much. Mr. Fast Boy Sid, I haven't used him in probably an entire 365 days. Some very good single target damage. Overall, I'm gonna give him an 8.8. because I do remember having a lot of fun with Sid. And then of course there's Sol. I have literally never used him yet. I don't think I've even given him one piece of gear ever. He is technically a 6-star, but he was a free 6-star, like, because you can get 6 souls. And yeah, I got him actually last year. I still haven't touched him, but I do see people using him a lot in PvE. So again, I think it's kind of unfair to give a rating to a hero I've never used. So I'm not going to. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I wouldn't say there's any heroes I really regret 6-starring. Maybe Melissa, because I don't feel like I'll ever use her. And like Cowrick, I don't really regret 6-starring, but I kind of regret investing all those Molagoras when I didn't need to. Everyone else, you know, have had their uses, and a lot of them still have their uses. For me personally, I hope I'm able to chop this down to a reasonably watchable time. If not, you're gone anyway by now, and you don't care what I'm saying because you don't hear it. But I'm gonna stop talking because I don't want this to be any longer. Make sure to tell me what you think in the comments down below. Dropping a like if you do enjoy is always greatly appreciated as well. Thanks, as always, for watching, and until next time.